motivated you to start playing tennis, and what made you realize that this was your life's passion?
So for me, it was my brother, my older brother, who started tennis before me. And just like every younger brother at that age, I wanted to do what he did. I wanted to copy him and I wanted to beat him. So that's how I first started tennis. And then I got into the rhythm of really wanting to improve and really wanting to get better at the sport. And that's how I developed a passion over the years that hasn't really left me in the last 20 years. I've been playing tennis for over 20 years now, and that passion that I have developed when I was young, it's still there, it's still inside of me.
In what ways does your inner savage help you to stay motivated and focused during competitions in your daily life?
Yeah, I think for me, my inner savage is being very disciplined, and the kind of discipline helps me a lot for my tennis sport, is what I need. Everyone has good days, everyone has bad days, and especially during the bad days, it's not as much about staying motivated, because there are some days where you don't feel motivated, where you don't want to go to work, where you don't want to practice. It's that discipline inside of me that helps me go to the practice courts on days where I'm not feeling good physically, maybe not feeling good mentally. And yes, that kind of discipline helps me to stay focused, to get on the court, to get done what I want to get done that day, and to move on to the next day.
During intense training and competitions, what's your go-to source of motivation that keeps you pushing yourself to the limits?
I think it's still the passion that I developed over the years, but it's also my idea to get the most out of the sport that I can do, to be the best player that I can be, and to achieve the best that I can achieve. That's my motivation. I always feel like there's something left to give. I'm already at a little bit of an advanced stage of my tennis career, so I know I don't have many years left. And just to see what's possible these last few years, to give every ounce of energy that I have, to leave it out on the court, and in the end of the day that I can say, once I'm done with my career, that I've given everything that I possibly have.
How do you handle it when you make these sorts of errors or lapses, when you break a racket, or when your emotions get the better of you?
It's very tough. It's very, very tough, because you have to deal on the court, you have to deal with a lot of negative emotion, and you have to deal with it by yourself usually. There's nobody helping you. There's a coach usually with you, but he cannot tell you that much. So you have to make sure you deal with those emotions, those negative emotions, by yourself. I have a lot of talks with myself on the court. Sometimes those are not always good ones, but you try to always find a positive way out. It's important to accept the negative emotion. It's important to even accept that things are not going to go well, but you have to find a way to move on. So sometimes you let out a scream, sometimes even a racket break, which I'm not very proud of, but you do try to then move on, to let out the negative emotion, and to then go back onto the positive road.
Can you share a moment in your career where you faced a significant challenge and how you overcame it to come out stronger?
Yes, actually, I graduated from college in America in 2013 and wanted to start my pro career right after, and I had a really bad injury to my knees where I wasn't able to compete for almost 2 years. And during that time, it was very, very challenging for me. It was very difficult. I went from physio to physio, from doctor to doctor. I got all kinds of injections and all kinds of different treatment, and nothing really helped. Nothing really took over. And during those 2 years, I felt very, very sad, very almost depressed, to the point that I couldn't achieve what I wanted to achieve. But that time also helped me to realize that I could move on to other things. So I learned about other stuff. I went a bit more into the sports psychology route. And that was a really challenging time for me, but it also taught me a lot about my body. It taught me to take better care of my body, the things that I need to do to stay in really good shape. And thank God and fingers crossed, since then I haven't had a major injury, and it's been almost 10 years now.
In what ways do you connect to nature, and how do you think this connection helps you recharge your inner savage in order for you to keep pushing yourself?
Yeah, I like to be in nature. I like to go to the beach. I like to go on hikes, on very natural hikes. It kind of helps me replenish if I feel ever burned out, if I feel low in energy. Just going out in nature and going on a long walk, or just spending time in a little bit more of a silent environment helps me to just replenish the energy tank when I feel really low in what I have to give that day. Just going out for a walk for a couple of hours is something that I like to do on occasion, and something that for me helps me personally.
What's one valuable lesson you've learned during your time on the professional circuit?
One thing that I've learned during my time, and I think it goes for tennis as for life, is to not get too high and not get too low, because it's a great lesson for tennis, because you compete on a weekly basis. You're going to have great moments, you're going to have great weeks, and which you win the tournament, or you might make a final. You feel like you're on top of the world, and then the next week you lose first round, and then you feel like you're at the bottom, you know. And it's very important to keep that in mind. Your bad days aren't as bad as you think they are in that moment, and the good days are sometimes also not as good as you think. So the important thing, or the important lesson for me, was to always keep working, no matter how good the good days are or how bad the bad days are, that you always try to stay even-keeled, try to stay balanced, and in that ways you can still enjoy the successes, but the kind of tough losses or challenges that you deal with, they don't feel as disastrous, and you're able to stay more on balance and keep going in any kind of scenario.
Let's spread the wave of change together.